That was in my head,
Much of
huh?
my own research based upon this simple design. If only I had known. Ah, Commander, excellent timing. There's been some progress. I've managed to break down several key components of the chip implanted into your skull. My analysis reveals that its primary function was that of a conduit, passing a vast amount of data directly to your cerebral cortex. With the primary connection severed, much of that data is lost. Several fragments do remain, however. Ghosts, if you will. Observe. Tactical combat simulations. War games. The sheer volume of encounters you were processing was astounding. It is truly remarkable that you survived as long as you did. Though this may seem disconcerting, there is still some good news.
Really?
This chip bears a striking resemblance to a medical implant I briefly assisted in developing at the gene therapy clinic in New Providence. My understanding was that the implants were intended for high-ranking Advent officers only, captains or above. Retrieving a chip from such an officer would be the only way to know for certain. A greater understanding of these implants would undoubtedly benefit us all, Commander.
You want me to get a captain?
New objective added.
Oh, we already have one, right? One of the officers. We need to do an autopsy.
The Advent officers have clearly been modified to allow for their subordinates to receive new orders psionically. The implanted chip is the key.
With little time to prepare, we were forced to conduct an extremely invasive procedure on the commander, myself, in order to remove what appeared to be an implant carefully enmeshed within the occipital lobe. Although all indications were that the device was not designed for removal, concerns as to the commander's potential longevity and the risk of possible remote manipulation by the aliens left us with little alternative. Despite my concerns, the commander has so far felt no lasting effects from the procedure, besides a massive headache, and appears to be recovering ahead of expectations. As for the chip itself, my initial findings are alarming to say the least. The device is psionically driven by the latent energy of the subject's brain, in this case, the commander. More importantly, it appears the device functions as both a transmitter and receiver, relaying info via some form of psionic link. Even after removal, I've had to shield the device to contain the residual psionic field surrounding the implant itself, for fear of what it might be capable of. If my current theory is correct, the commander may have played a more important role in Advent's operations than we could have possibly imagined. I played a role in Advent's operations? He said that he found like tactical simulations and war games in my head. Is there something that they accessed within my own mind? Well, either way, it looks like there's some capability of doing some autopsies, which we do need to get to right away. And from what I see in these reports, there's also a new facility that's available to be established here, a warfare center. Well, I want him to get going right away with the autopsy on the officer. Aside from the variety of fascinating genetic enhancements found in the Advent troopers, the officers appear to be augmented further with some kind of biomechanical implant. I believe this allows for some form of communication throughout the alien hierarchy. If we were to somehow tap into the system, I wonder, what might we hear?
The Advent officers appear to be similar, if not physically the same as the common Advent trooper in terms of power and agility. However, field reports indicate a more developed mental acuity, as the officers do provide tactical directives to the subordinate Advent forces.
I wonder if defeating them before
that area of
its
research
allies
to be among the more intriguing options available. We'll begin work immediately. I'll send word when a complete report is available.
I'm wondering if
Looks like Shen got that converter up and running, Commander. We're ready for you on the bridge.
I'm wondering if we kill the officer first, does that make the troops scatter? More liable to make mistakes? I do wonder about that. We don't have any scientists accessed here. That's unfortunate and frustrating. Alright, so we can go to the bridge or we can go to the armory. Of course, I'm going to the armory to check on my soldiers here.
We've done what we can to honor our fallen soldiers, Commander. It's not much, but it gives our people a chance to pay their respects.
It's unfortunate what happened to those two. They risked their lives, they gave their lives to save me. I didn't ask to be saved, but they did, and I'm going to repay them by giving us our planet back. So, rest in peace, and I'll inform your families when I can. So, I had my suspicions about this individual. She was on the mission to save me with Bradford. And something about her, something about the look in her eyes, it's not so much the appearance, because the appearance isn't what I recall, but it's just her eyes. Something about them called to me, so to say, and I know that sounds remarkably cheesy, but I think the alias that she's undergone, who she is, I think it's Sukai. And true to form, when I asked Bradford about this, he confirmed it, that Sukai risked head and neck and everything in between just to come and save me. And she didn't reveal her identity until later, which I was surprised. I was honestly surprised, but I am forever thankful to Sukai for sticking her neck out for me. I mean, there's always been a connection between the two of us, and, you know, I think it's only gotten stronger with what we just went through. With what she's went through. I've been in a freaking coma, I guess, for 20 years, and she's been doing all the heavy lifting. It doesn't matter how much of what I remember in the past is real or false. I know what's in my heart, and I know that Sukai, you know, gave everything to try and help me out, to try and get to me. And I don't look down on that lightly. So, I'm gonna get her situated, get her all the equipment, all the setup that she needs to feel 110% comfortable here. And then we're gonna see who the other soldiers are, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of more familiar faces down the road, not just Sukai. So let's see here. The armory offers a lot of different options. I have to say, it's kind of surprising and very impressive. You know, whatever makes our soldiers feel the most comfortable, you know, going out into the field, I think that's what we need to keep in mind. Some glasses. I do remember that she was a big fan of collecting glasses, all different kinds. She even had some glasses that were reminiscent of like the 60s and 70s. which is cute. Wow. She's definitely gotten a lot more aggressive, I guess. You know, in the time that we've been separated. She's got face paint now. Her choice. Not mine, her choice. But who am I to intervene with, you know, how she wants to style herself? I think she looks great. So she's got some ponytail bangs going on. Got some just gorgeous blue eyes. And her armor, she knows that I love the color purple, so she decided to get some purple armor, which is pretty fantastic, I have to say. I mean, she looks like really tough. Straight up. Like, she's not here to play around.
Go, go, go! I'm all over it. Rolling out. Solid copy. Roger that. I'm all over it. No need to ask twice. Already there. Will do. Double time.
Yeah, we gotta get some more experience outside in the field before we can do anything more. Alright, so that's Tsukai. Looks tough, is tough, and that's just the start. We're going to take a moment to see who the other soldiers are here in the Avenger right now. So, to my surprise, and at the same time not to my surprise, the people who we sent to get the converter, the thing to get our base up and running, were also familiar faces, and once they let down the disguises and revealed themselves for who they were, I was very optimistic, and so many other familiar faces too. It seems like Bradford rounded up all of the people who were closest to me that he could find anyway, and he's still searching for them. He knows that people that I know, people that I have a connection with, people that I admire, they're the people that he wants to get a hold of because he feels like tactically leading people who I know will empower me to make choices that would be smart, efficient, get the job done, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to let any of these guys die, you know? There's no way that I want any of these 10 individuals here to die. And I'm going to do everything in my power not to, so one by one I'm going to show them to you guys, their appearance, their biographies that I have found written down, and, you know, give a little bit of insight on each and every one that I feel where insight is needed, or it could be fun. So first off, Tsukai. You guys already know her. She's the one who helped Bradford save me. When everything went south for XCOM, some soldiers stuck it out despite the increasingly desperate and unfathomable odds. Leanne, Sukai was one of them. Determined to get the commander back at all costs, she worked side by side with Bradford and pushed herself to her limits physically and mentally, all for the sake of a single person and ideal. I mean, just the camo and, you know, the more aggressive look that she has, and the fact that she has a sword. She has a sword now, ladies and gents. Sukai has changed since the last time I saw her, and you know, kudos to her. She's far more impressive now than she ever was before, and she was already impressive, so... Oh. Sorry, there was a glitch in the system. I had to fix it. Alright, next person. Capo, I was surprised that she was one of the first people to be recruited and was actually there to help get the job done. She was the one who got the majority of the kills on that last mission, which is utterly surprising. Like, she had a fire lit under her butt, and I have to really thank her and commend her for the job well done. By the way, Sukai told me to be a little bit more, you know, upbeat when I'm giving these monologues and elaborating our story of reclaiming our world. She felt like if this was going to be like a narration for later generations to take note of, then the narrator should, I guess, be a little bit more, you know, energized, because that energy will ooze out to the soldiers, and the soldiers will do a better job on the battlefield. So her code name is Capo, and honestly, this biography that I found written for her is so silly, but so like her. Enthusiastic and a bundle of energy, Capo had a way about her, the Bam Bam way. Sounded childish, and surely it was a little bit. Yes, it definitely definitely is a little childish, but in a good way. But she was always exceptional at garnering smiles and having people believe in something better than what already is. And with the commander back, she's determined to do so with a lot of grenades in hand. A lot of grenades. Now, I'm a little bit OCD. I was a writer before I became a commander, so let me just fix these things while I notice them, because otherwise it's going to bug me forever. Yes, even in the state that the world's in now, I can still be kind of a prude. But yeah, she's sporting this purplish outfit, yellow weaponry. She looks slick. I mean, all you really need to know about Capo is through her biography. She's very energetic, has enormous amounts of, like, energy. Like an Energizer rabbit. I don't know how many times I can say the word energize, but that's the best word I can use to describe her. She's basically the type of person who could bounce off the walls and basically put craters in the walls with how much she's bouncing. It's just, she's insane. But, you know, I could entrust her with my life. I did entrust her with my life. And, you know, now that she has a grenade launcher, she's even scarier than ever on the battlefield. So, definitely the perfect person to be able to launch grenades, to be a grenadier. Couldn't think of anybody better. The next individual is our sharpshooter, and somebody who I'm not surprised to see here at all, the Destined One. He's an Australian. He's the only Australian on the team right now, and he's probably one of the most intelligent Australians, or one of the most intelligent human beings that I've ever met. I mean, dear God, if you have a conversation with this guy, good luck if you decide to get into a debate or argument, because chances are you're going to lose. And I say that with the utmost respect, maybe a little bit of envy because, you know, I'd love to win a debate against him. We've been at each other toe to toe at times in terms of like those sort of debates and, you know, sense of ideals, differing ideals, and 90% of the time he won out. But, you know, case aside, I'm so glad that Dustin is here because I couldn't trust anybody else to help me with the logical side of things. You know, if I do need somebody to take over commanding duties, Destin would be the one I'd look at. Calm, rational, and logical. Always been one of my closest friends. No surprise that he was thrust into the leadership position, or when I was thrust into the position. Destin decided to come along to make sure I didn't mess up too badly, quote unquote. But, you know, truly the two had a close bond that was very brotherly, and Destin took a lead role in making sure the new XCOM could get off the ground and that they would have a chance of reviving the world. So you might see Destin switching places with me, and I would go out on the battlefield. I talked to Bradford about this, and he's hesitant. He doesn't want me to die because we went through all this trouble, and given the fact that I have these visions or these things going on in my head, our researcher Tygan, or God, I'm not familiar with him and his work as much as I would like. I feel like I should, but 20 years is a long time. But the way he was describing it, apparently there was like a puzzle that was to be unlocked within my head, so I don't know how well my efficiency is going to be, so I kind of want to expand myself a little bit more by getting out into the battlefield eventually. Bradford basically refuses for me to do so right now, but in case I ever do, Destin's going to take over, and honestly, Destin's going to help me with coordination and strategy to begin with, so, you know, he has the hoodie, he has the sniper rifle. I trust him 110%. Oh my God. You are hot. You're a kick. You aged a lot since I last saw you. Very, very well. Huh. Okay, moving on. Somewhat of an enigma, the biography says. Kyle, aka Kickbot, never showed much of his cards, which in a world that's gone to hell like this could be a gift in itself. Yeah, I would agree with that. Kyle is the type of person who, you know, he might not show his entire hand, but he shows enough to where you're just like, ooh, interesting. What is known about him is that he's very caring and considerate of his friends. That is definitely true. Which is why when the call came about XCOM and who the commander was, he didn't have to think twice despite a general lack of experience. What he lacked in brawn, he would triple in brainpower and confidence. And apparently, like, luscious brown locks. Holy Batman. He looks like a better looking Otacon. And I can say this despite being the CEO because I played video games before, you know, the aliens hit down. Cut me some slack. But looking at it, Kyle has the same sort of robot that I saw when I went into the engineering lab. What is that exactly? A gremlin. He can use it to execute battlefield tasks from safer distances. Things like hacking electronic targets, damaging enemies, aiding allies. And from what I understand, it can be used in both offensive and defensive manners, so I'm interested to see what Kyle's capable of on the battlefield. Very, very interested indeed. Okay, before I sound like a stalker, you know, this is definitely sounding professional.